Yeah, so Bad Finny. I have to think before I say that name
Bad
every single time.
Anthony.
Bad Finny. Recommended this. It's
Oh,
called
that
Backwood
bottle's fire.
Bastard. Yeah, it's from Founders. Am I super loud?
No, you're good.
Okay. It's from Founders, which I think is out of Michigan, but it's a what are they called? Scotch Ale. So it's like supposed to be barrel aged, like caramely beer
Yeah. Is it
more than
good?
normal beers. I have no idea. I'm about to try it.
Yeah. The bottle looks cool.
Oh, that is pretty good. It's like, oh, that's really good. Oh, that's really good.
Is it?
Oh, that's so good. Dude, I don't like beer very often, but this shit is holy crap. It tastes like caramel and bourbon and beer all in one, but like a
Sounds
good
good.
way somehow. Dude, that's fire.
They sell it
That
by
is
you?
fire. Yeah, it's I had to go to like a superstore to get it, but that's fucking crazy good. I did not expect that to be good. I was like, honestly, I was really, really nervous about it because it's 11% alcohol,
Oh.
and he said it was more like a stout, and I absolutely despise stouts. Like if I drink one sip of a Guinness, I think I'm gonna throw up.
Yeah.
Like it's rough for me, but that's really good. It's like, yeah, it's like bourbon. It's like you're sipping like drinkable whiskey.
That sounds
It's
good.
Yeah, super good. Caramely, kind of like nuts. I kind of taste like some nuts in there.
Wait,
Oh shit, that's really fucking good.
do they just sell them like singles or?
No, it's a 4 pack.
Yeah.
But at 11%, I'm gonna slow sip this bad boy.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, you don't
don't want to
want to
get
chug
fucked up.
that.
Yeah. I imagine you chug one of these and you'd be feeling it already.
Oh
But
yeah.
oh, dude,
Dude,
I
that
think
spy
people in our
chart today.
discords. What's that? Spy?
It's crazy. It just
Oh,
never broke that supply that we were looking at all morning. It never
yeah.
fucking
Me and you
broke it.
were banging that, dude. We were talking about that 448 level
Yeah, it could never get past
being
it.
major supply. There's like a huge volume shelf there
Yeah.
now, which is going to be really hard to get above.
Yeah, shit the bed end of the day.
That's when I took those puts. It broke into that. There was like a little bit of the gap left from I don't know, a while back, but that
Yeah.
was that was like low key kind of um like lucky that we got that Apple play with Spy not breaking out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Apple was
Like
going and Spy wasn't. It was
I mean you sniped that. We were like on top of it.
yeah, that
Yo,
flag was perfect.
look at how high volume that sell off the last 3 5 minutes. Candles on Spy is. That's so much volume outflow.
Yeah. I will say Apple looks really good for tomorrow though.
Yeah, I actually was looking at that too. And Apple usually can single-handedly carry big
Yeah,
old Spy,
yeah.
the team on
Especially
its
the
back.
15-minute.
Yeah, let me go pull that up real quick. People are getting some. What's the right word? Impromptu,
Impromptu.
impromptu, impromptu
Hmm.
bullish versus. Ooh, dude, that looks really good.
Yeah, it
Apple looks
does.
really good. The 15, like you said, looks perfect.
Hmm. Yeah, that does look really good. I've been playing Apple a lot. It's pretty easy.
There's nice size contracts too, like price wise.
Yeah, easy to get in.
Scale in, scale out, a lot of volume on them, stuff like that.
Hmm.
Oh, dude, that's a really good chart. I'm gonna have to write that down. I think the dudes in our Discord, the people, absolutely love that we do the live trading on Wednesdays.
Oh, dude. So I get so many people that say how like it's enjoyable and they learn stuff.
Yeah, I have the same thing. Like we get a rag on Anthony, which Anthony, if you're listening to this, we love you. That's why we rag on you.
Or do
We get a
we?
rag on him, get a fucking talk about how bad Drake is because he's terrible.
Dude.
You just
I
got so
love
mad when I
Drake.
said that.
Yeah, they did get pretty tight.
Yeah, I feel like all the lover boys were gonna come after me. All the certified lover boys. Anthony's about to get mad here. He's about to start fire coming out of his ears.
That's so funny.
Um, all right, we got a couple to talk about. So we got HYMC and the other miners. I have a few names that I'm gonna shout afterwards. But what are you thinking about the HYMC chart?
HYMC. Wow, that is a crazy looking
Look
daily.
at that red ass candle on the 15th. I think it's huge.
Yeah, so looking at the looking at the daily, I would be looking towards that like $1 mark. It's like almost in line with the 20 um that you may end up. It got stuffed under the 200 today. Um but the 30-minute doesn't look too bad. The monthly doesn't look too bad. Um it needs to hold. It has some trend around 112, 110, 112. And that's what I'd be looking for. If that breaks, you probably end up towards a buck.
Yeah.
But I don't hate the look of it right now. So just off technicals, it looks bullish to me.
I would say I actually agree with the $1 where I'd like be looking for $1 probably because
Big
when I look
cycling.
at this, yeah, when I look at this, I see from back in October and when is that? August. Back in October and August, I see like 140 resistance, 140 to 145 resistance.
Mm-hmm.
And then today that's where it failed, which was the 200, which is a big volume shelf on the profile. So I just think that it needs to cool off a bit more before we take another test of that 200. But I mean, you can see it's hot on this daily. This daily shows that it's got the volume and it's got the eyes on it. So
Yeah.
anything can happen when you got big volume. Um, there's actually a couple miners that I like a lot more that I think I actually have positions in. Well, I don't think I actually have positions in. I do.
Do you think you
Um,
have positions?
I just don't, dude. It's been so long since I've looked at my swing account that I genuinely sometimes forget it exists.
Yeah.
like, like sometimes I'm just like, ah. But the first one is Gato, Gato. Um, I like that one a
Ooh,
lot,
I
man.
like
It
that
got
gap.
rejected. Yeah, it got rejected at the 50 MA, but the 20 MA is coming up on it. It's coming up on a little demand zone here. And if it can get back into that gap, it can cruise. It's got room to $10 almost.
Yeah, over 550, and that thing has a
Yeah,
shit ton of
crazy.
room. The 200's not. The 200's at like 930, so you have all that room.
It's just got to get above the 50.
Yeah, that looks very good. If it breaks that 20, eh, probably have room to average down towards $4.
Yeah, there's a lot of downside. Once it breaks, like for me, if it breaks probably like 425, then I bet you it probably breaks four as well and sees like 375,
Yeah, no,
350 maybe
that
even.
chart looks very good. That's bullish to me. You fill that
Same,
gap in.
same. Gab will send it. And then the other one is GPL. I like this one because it gapped up on the 8th and then it's now filled that gap and it's consolidating pretty well. And the 20 is coming up on it. So I just think it needs a bit of volume to pop out of this consolidation. And then it's got not much until mid 30s.
Yeah, cheap too. What's it, 20 some cents?
Yeah, 28 cents, real cheap. Not a lot of
Yeah.
risk there.
Those are one of those that you can just. This is not toward talking about like new traders, but when something's so cheap like that, that's when you can just hammer down and keep averaging down on if you have
For
conviction in
real.
and stuff.
Because I mean, you got to think about it as in a way of like market cap wise. Like companies are like if they're 20 cents, their market cap has to be pretty small in the first place. And then if it's, then it's 15 cents, they just lost a fourth of their market cap. You have to determine if that's like a real move or if that's just the market fluctuating.
Yeah. Um,
Um,
that looks yeah
Go ahead.
that looks good too. All those miners look really good.
Yeah. I'm hot on them. I got swings in both of those, which normally I don't swing two from the same sector, but I was feeling good about one of them at least hitting.
Yeah.
So I'm just sitting on them. Next up, we got the people's main event, the Baba, the Chinese names, because apparently Baba has been going nuts on Wall Street bets. I haven't seen it a whole lot, but people have been like talking mad crap about how Baba is like the next squeeze because it's like so shorted. Like if you go look at the daily, look how many shorts are piled in, all that kind of stuff. Like shorts have gotten overconfident on this one. I see that all over Twitter and shit about Baba. So I just want your thoughts on. Actually, I'll go first since I went second on the last one. Um, I still kind of think that there's some big downside on
Yeah, that
Baba.
chart does not look good.
Yeah, the chart doesn't look good. And then the other thing too is China is way closer to aligning with Russia than anyone thinks. Like
Yeah.
they're way closer to aligning with Russia than they are not aligning with Russia. And I'll stand by that until this whole Russia thing is over, which we're still a ways away. But if I also just draw a line on Baba, um, it still has a ton of like resistance above. It's not even close to breaking the downtrend. So yeah, we have big volume here, blah 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 blah, whatever. The weekly looks terrible. The weekly looks like abysmal, and then there's so much overhead. Um, I don't care if there's a bunch of shorts piled in. I just think that that looks like a massive downtrend, and I also think China is really, really walking on thin ice right now with the global markets. So I say it's bullshit.
Yeah, I don't I that chart looks hideous to me. So I'm calling bullshit as well. Um yeah, that China and Russia stuff is crazy. I saw that they were talking like to North Korea too or something, which is
Yeah,
that's a whole mess.
they're really saying, "Hey, shithead leaders, let's band together and fucking
Yeah,
try
let's
to take over the world." Um, yeah. So Daniel, we want to thank you for coming on, and we also want to ask, how has your trading been lately, man?
It's been good. I post all my receipts on Twitter. I think I had one of my larger singular days. It was just over 400,000. I did that off of Square. So I tend to trade. Some of you would probably be very familiar with some of the stuff I put out if you follow my Twitter account. So one of the strategies I talk about a lot is paid by the hour. I wrote an ebook on it. And that's a direct application of that strategy.
Awesome, awesome. So yeah, this market that we've had in 2022 has been pretty crazy with everything going on in the world. How are you feeling about it right now, where we're kind of standing?
It's not to push that, but I mean, it's one of the reasons why I created that strategy in the first place. So, I mean, if you think about, all the way through 2020, we had this great sort of bull market, really, really kind of safe. And then you start getting in around Q1 of 2021, things started to get a little toppy, things started to get a little shaky. A lot of people lost a lot of money when things kind of collapsed out underneath them for a little bit there. We kind of perked up a little bit mid-year, and then towards the fall, we end up with this very choppy, toppy market. And then you compound that with things like inflation, policy bullshit, supply chain issues, just all kinds of nonsense. And that creates an environment where you get where your capital risk exposure becomes really high. So for me, I've been trading for now 13 years. I started out as a value investor where you can buy into something and you know it's cheap and you just kind of hung on to it and you knew that you were okay. That doesn't really apply much anymore because you've got just so many outside factors that just tank everything. And in the ebook I just wrote, like, if you look at something like Facebook, for example, right? And they say you bought that on sale in March 2020 and you thought, holy shit, I got this really great deal. Well, okay, 2 years later, you're back down exactly where you were. And you lost most of that in about 60 or 90 days time. So one of the reasons I created the new strategy is because it allows you to bank whether the stock is going up, or the stock is going down. And your capital risk exposure is down to about 3 to 6 days on average, depending on the stock that you're trading.
What is that strategy? Just like a quick, just a little like couple sentences, just kind of if you had to describe it. I know it's hard to put it all into like one little word or one little blur, but what kind of is the gist of it?
So it's a bit of an extension of my day trading. What I wanted was a long day trade. Um, so I often trade in layers. So for something, so I trade a rotation. And so for any of the ones that I'll be in a paid by the hour swing, I know that swing is probably going to top out somewhere in that 3 to 6 day time frame. Over top of that, I will day trade it on the smaller time frame. So I will enter in using either the 4 or the 1 hour chart. In Square, for instance, that was only about a 5 day trade. I entered in on the 4 hour bottom, and that's one of those stocks. There's 3 stocks that I find to be just magical on the 4 hour. What I tell a lot of my coaching students is, look, when these show up and you've got an alignment between a 4 hour bottom on the SPY and a 4 hour bottom on any of these stocks, just dump your account into it. You'll be a very happy camper. And that's Square, it's BX, and it's Visa. Those are pretty much guaranteed, a 15 to 20% move every single time. In the case of Square, we made like a 40% move. So bless its pointed little head.
So just a little bit of an alignment between markets and then alignment of the chart. Figuring out if you got, bottom on there and then just riding that out for 5. You said 3 to 6 days?
Yeah, typically, like if you were to pull up any stock that you're really kind of comfortable with, but most of them are typically about a 3 to 6 day payout. On the 1 hour, sometimes that's 1 day. So I always have one stock that's like my ATM stock. I trade it every single day. It pays me every day, and that's Nordstrom. And I will also swing that on the 1 hour underneath it, and that's typically a 1 to 3 day time frame that I'll get a payout on.
Me and Tony know about that. We used to trade this shitty little
Penny, whatever it
garbage
was.
stock, JAN, little low float, shitty trash stock.
But
we
every
used
day.
to we used to know like it was like $7 to like 7.80 every single day. There'd be like this little pop, and we would just sell the liquidity
Yeah,
Yeah.
just every damn day. Well, I know Tony's got a few questions for you that he wants to ask.
sure.
Yeah. So the first question I had for you, I know you just mentioned how long you've been trading, but what kind of got you into trading? And did you have a mentor? Did you kind of just self-teach? Were you self-taught? If you want to kind of maybe explain that or elaborate on that a little bit.
Sure. So you have to go back to the 2008, 2009 financial collapse. And what I seen was, as the market was recovering, my financial advisor, either they were incapable, unable, or just unwilling to actually take advantage of this type of thing. So it dawned on me that I'm gonna continue to work, and my retirement funds are not going to be where I need them to be by the time I finish working, unless I did something different. So I fired him, and I took it over myself. And coming at it from a value investing perspective was more an extension of my career. So my corporate career, I was like a corporate MacGyver. I would get kind of flown around the world and go fix other companies or determine whether or not we want to buy a certain company. So to do that, I needed to be able to understand finances. I need to understand strategy. I need to understand macroeconomics. I need to understand operations. I need to be able to put all of that together to go, what is a company actually worth? So that directly tied into my start as a value investor, because I could look at a company, I could take it apart and go, what's this thing worth? What is it being sold for? And is it on sale? And that worked really, really well. And then all the way through even 2020, I would do that same type of thing. But then as the market changed, as I was saying earlier, I had to change that approach. And while I had already been swing trading for a number of years ahead of time, I needed to change the approach even more. And that's where I developed almost like a long day trade approach. And it was an extension off of the day trading that I'd already been doing. as my regular sort of income stream.
Yeah, that's really cool, and you were able to, like you mentioned before, develop your own strategy. And another question I had, I know this market for beginners is pretty unforgiving. Teddy and myself, we each have our own private groups, and it's, I'd say, 90% beginners. So we're kind of helping out beginners trying to navigate this market. What would be your biggest advice for maybe somebody that's only been trading 3-4 months, and they're obviously, not used to a market like this, or this is the first market they were ever introduced into? What would be your best advice for them in terms of kind of how to navigate the current state of the market?
I know one of the things that I see, because I also do coaching,
Mm-hmm.
And the most common thing that I get when people come to me is, they've been through several Discord rooms, or they're seeing alerts across. So they belong to like 15 different Discord rooms. They got alerts across their screen. They're tied into FinTwit. They're tied into StockTwits, and they're just kind of like a squirrel in your backyard, right? There's not really a direction for them. They're kind of going from tree to tree and just hoping to find a nut in there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And what I always tell them is, you don't actually need to do all that. So the very first thing I tell them to do is remove the noise and actually concentrate on the trade. Because if you're constantly going from, this, stock ABC is getting pumped on Twitter and everybody's talking about it and I got to be in it. And oh my God, the sector rotation is happening. And oh, this thing happened over here. And now we got it because of this macroeconomic event. We got to go do this. You're never going to get anywhere. So what I actually have a lot of my coaching students do is just focus on 1 or 2 stocks. That's it. And eliminate the noise of the market, because it allows them to focus on the trade. And I'll work them up various timeframes so that we can practice that move, practice getting those bottom entries, be able to understand, be able to get exit, and get the mechanics of trading down, and just eliminate all the bullshit that surrounds them. What they inevitably end up with is the most profitable weeks they've ever had, because they're able to just focus. And that's what I really want.
Yeah, I know, not to speak for Teddy, but I know we talk about the same exact thing. Like, we're pretty anti-FinTwit. I mean, there's some good things about FinTwit. There's some bad things. Sometimes the bad seems to outweigh the good, but I know that's one of the biggest problems. Like, I'll have somebody that'll join my room and they say, yeah, I was just chasing alerts and following 50 people's call outs on Twitter and trying to jump in everything, and I didn't even know what I was buying. And I totally agree. If you can really narrow it down to like 2-3 things a day, and like you said, focus on this setup, this stock, that's your best bet.
I got to double down on that, because I have done a lot of one-on-one voice calls with people that I'm trying to help out, and all the time they're constantly, I'm like, so show me your watch list that you scroll through in the morning of stocks, and they'll screenshot it or do whatever, and it'll be 60 stocks long, and I'm like, all right, you need to cut 57 of those out. You need 3 of them. You need to learn price action. You need to learn how to find the personality of a stock, all that stuff. So yeah, I think you nailed it head on. Less stocks, more analyzing and seeing the actual data, seeing how the things move, seeing how the bottoms look, how the tops look, how the consolidation looks, how your indicators work in conjunction with all of that is so much more important than having a bajillion options to trade.
Yeah, I put it pretty simply to them. It's there's nobody who's watching. If you tell me your watch list is, 20 to 100 stocks, somewhere in there, I'm just going to call bullshit on you. Yeah. There's no way you're humanly possible to be able to truly know 20 to 100 stocks. It's just bullshit. There's no way you're going to do it.
Yeah, I tell people too, you could quite literally trade one thing all year and make a living off one stock, especially if you get good with it.
I even wrote about that. Because I trade Nordstrom every single day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's some, I'll trade, I primarily focus on Qs, Apple, things that are easy to get into. They can be great vehicles for, you to learn and get comfortable with. The last question I had was, what are your what do you think the best thing and the worst thing about FinTwit is, in your opinion?
There's a lot of bullshit out there. I think is the worst thing.
100%.
There's just like, if you come to my account, maybe that's the reason I only have 19,000 followers. I don't know, and other accounts have like 400 or 500,000 or something. It's just here's what I did. Here's why. Here's the educational element around it, and that's it. Like I don't retweet a lot of people, barely any. I just sort of, this matter of fact, here's my receipts for what I did. Here's what I'm into. Here's what I went out of. Here's why I got out of it. That's it. And a lot of accounts, I mean, it's up to the individual whether or not that's good or bad, because obviously if they got hundreds of thousands of followers, hey, maybe my opinion's in the minority, probably. But it's just bullshit. And it's not really showing anybody anything. It's almost sort of reinforcing the dependency people have on things like alerts and other sort of pumps that are out there. And to me, like eventually the majority of people that are actually in there and they're following those accounts, they have no clue what it is they're doing. And if those accounts go away, they still have no clue what it is they're doing.
Yep.
Would rather, people take the time to actually learn, because at the end of the day, this is their financial future that they're playing with. And what I always said, and the reason why I wrote the Learn to Fish series, is because I truly believe anyone can do this. Just put away the noise and focus on some key things, and virtually anyone can do this to some degree or another.
So your Learn to Fish series, where can people find that? Through your Twitter?
Yeah, so I have a link tree on my Twitter account. Leads to two places where you can get it, right off of Gumroad, as well as my website, Live Anywhere, Leave Anything, because that's how I define freedom. I was able to retire from my corporate gig at the height of the pandemic, just through my trading. And the way I always defined freedom was the ability to walk away from anything. And when I actually did that, I left Toronto. I now live here in Florida. And just the ability to go anywhere and do anything you want, that's freedom. That starts with financial freedom. Without that first part, you don't get it.
Absolutely.
100% agree. So I heard somewhere on Twitter that you went shark fishing. I gotta ask.
I did.
Did you catch a shark?
I did, but this time of year, it's the smaller sharks that are migrating in. I have to wait another couple months as the waters warm up, and I'll get some of the bigger ones. But we actually caught about a dozen bonnethead sharks.
Oh my goodness!
We had one black tip on the line, and he got like 4 feet within 4 feet of the boat, and he bit through the line. And he was a good size. He was like 4 or 5 feet long. But we were able to keep. What's that?
Holy crap! 4 to 5 feet long.
But there are much larger ones as the water warms. So right now, the water out in Tampa Bay is somewhere around the 60-degree mark. But as that heats up, we'll get more migration. So I'm going to go back and try and catch some larger ones. But we're able to keep. So the rules are you can only keep 2 sharks per boat. So we end up keeping a couple of bonnetheads, and I put them on the barbecue. They were good.
What did it taste like?
It actually is a very mild tasting fish. It's an excellent one to barbecue. It doesn't flake apart or anything like that.
That's cool.
I've had swordfish before. It's not fishy at all. Is that how?
That's good too. Yeah.
It's
cool.
Some shark. Dang.
I don't think you're getting shark in Iowa.
Hey, shut up. We got big lakes here. I was just talking to Tony. I was like, we need to head down to Florida somewhere. If we do go, we're gonna go shark fishing, Tony. I'm gonna catch a great white, and then I'm gonna throw you in after it.
That'd be fun.
If you catch like a massive shark, how do you get it home? Like, will they let you keep like a 6-foot shark?
I don't know. I mean, the charter boat we went out with, he said that last year, the largest shark they pulled in was an 800-pound hammerhead.
Holy hell!
Oh my goodness!
I have no idea what the hell I'd even do with that, but
get it mounted.
You have to buy a massive freezer. Get it mounted. It's in the back of your office right there.
Just a huge hammerhead. That'd be funny.
Get like a cinder block wall because it won't hang on anything else because it's 800 pounds.
That's funny.
Do you have a drink of choice, Daniel? Like a little something you go to the bar and you know exactly what you want to drink?
For me, it's either tequila or beer. I don't really go anywhere else. I have a thing for European beers. I'm half Belgian, so beer is sort of a staple that I grew up with. But I love tequila. I love it straight or in a margarita, but typically straight.
What's a good tequila I can get? Because I haven't really, dove into the tequila waters very much.
God, there's so many great ones.
I'm gonna write it down.
I really like Los Naranjos. It's one of my favorite. It's a really actually fairly inexpensive tequila, but I actually really love it. It's so you can find it online or typically it's at your local liquor purveyor.
Okay. Cool. I'll check them out because I got scarred by Patron a while back, and so I've stayed away from tequilas since then.
There can be several that are somewhat like gasoline, but you get some nicer ones. They're nice and smooth, and I really like Los Naranjos, one of my favorites. Like I said, it's not even an expensive tequila. I mean, there's some really great tequilas, in the couple $100 a bottle price range, but Los Naranjos like $50-$60 a bottle, and it's good stuff.
I'll take that any day. Yeah, I had like 7 too many Patrons, and then it was just like gasoline, and I wanted to die. It was like I was.
You were scarred then.
Now, I could have ran my car with that. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah,
it'd be cheaper than the gas nowadays. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Tell me about it. I got a Hellcat, but
you got a Hellcat? Is that what you
typically not worried about the price of gas?
Yeah.
Or gas mileage.
I see it somewhere that thing can go from 0 to 60 in is it the fastest? No, but really fucking fast. I don't remember the specs right now. Is it fast as shit?
Yes. I've had people cringe and start to cry in the passenger seat.
Holy crap. What color is yours?
Mine is pitch black.
Ooh, my favorite.
That's sweet. Tony, you should get a Hellcat.
No, I want a Bronco.
Dude, I want one. I'm going to get one before you.
Yeah, you probably will, to be honest.
We're going to be fighting over who gets a Bronco first. But Daniel, we wanted to talk about kind of your most profitable setups. I know we've talked a bit about it, kind of those bottoms, those types of setups, but what is your favorite and your most profitable trading setups?
Again, it's the stuff I do all the time. I've sort of narrowed down to what works and what works consistently. That whole pay by the hour or 4-hour approach is always my most profitable setup. Particularly on the 4-hour, you get some really great moves. I tend to, so number one, I don't believe in diversification. I think it's bullshit. Always have thought it was bullshit. So when I get an alignment of a move, I will go in very, very large. I also do that with my day trading. I don't spread my risk around 5 different piles. I actually think that's way more risky than controlling 1 or 2 trades, because then I don't need much of a movement in order to make the dollar target that I'm after, and be able to get out. So I mean, Square is a really good example. It was just over 400,000 off of that trade. And that I got in on the 4-hour, again, just following my rules for understanding where bottom is, being able to scale in my position on the smaller time frame dips, and just built it up into a 10,000 share position and just moved through it from there.
So do you primarily trade commons, options? Do you do both?
Primarily comments. However, there's a lot of my followers who have used the Learn to Fish series to trade options, because what the technique that I teach in there is how to be able to repeatably and very consistently find bottom, and how to be able to tell where to exit out. And if you really need just those two pieces of information, be able to say, well, do I need to buy calls or do I need to buy puts? What's about to happen with this stock? I'm always getting, I post that stuff. I'm always getting those messages like, I bought Learn to Fish. I've gone through Learn to Fish 2. I've gone to Learn to Fish 3. And, I'm green for 17 days in a row. And, it's the first time that I'm doing this and this and this. So it works for both. For me, I trade commons just because that's where I'm comfortable. I like the flexibility of commons as well. Whether it's being able to exit out or change something in the pre-market, whatever it may be. And my account's large enough that, I can do something like put $1 million on Square and, just let that ride out if I'm confident in the trade.
The other thing you don't have to worry about is, time decay, which can get extremely, extremely bitchy. I don't have any other word. Bitchy if you're in options and you're trying to hold for something more than, an hour, more than 2 hours.
It can be frustrating.
Things can get risky. You'll see it'll move and then your thing won't move. Fate will be eating away at it. So annoying. But I definitely agree that those bottom setups like you're talking about, that's a part of my game that I need to refine more. Because right now, I tend to do more continuation trades where, I follow the trend and then, follow the trend and see it flag a bit of a pullback. And I determine if it's a pullback or if it's a reversal. And then if it's just a pullback, then I, add long or short, depending on the trend, that kind of thing. But bottoms and tops, like you said, are something that I really need to maybe focus in on a bit more. So maybe I'll even grab your how to fish lessons and check those out.
Yeah, I keep it really simple. I think that's a thing that when I go on one of these, or I've been on Space Call, I think that's the thing that maybe I don't know if people just don't get it, or there's no way it's that simple. But I've said many times, both in my courses and on those podcasts or whatever, I actually don't look at the upper 2/3 of the chart. I don't care. I just trade off of the MACD and RSI, and that's it.
Yeah, I try to tell people to keep it as simple as humanly possible too. I primarily am a supply and demand trader, so there's days I'll trade only using supply and demand and maybe volume. And I try, people want to overcomplicate it and throw 30 indicators on their chart. And I think that's how everybody starts. They really can overcomplicate it. But I think if you can really simplify your charting and your trading and focus on 1 to 2 things, then that's where you start to really turn that corner and find success.
Are you looking for, sorry to interrupt you, but are you looking for RSI to be really, really low and then MACD to begin to curl to the upside?
No, actually, so the RSI is the only thing I really care about in RSI is if it's overbought, because I use that as part of my risk management. I talk about how I do that in Learn to Fish 3. I use a real example from a trade I did in PayPal, comparing it with if I did not do that same risk management technique, and your returns actually double doing it my way. That's the only thing I care about is if the RSI is overbought. If it's oversold, I don't really care, because what I'm looking at for bottom entries, I'm looking at those 2 MACD lines, and I want those when I see that change in attitude. If they're coming down and they're parallel or they're moving further apart, but then it starts to change attitude, I know I've got bottom. I can confirm that on the other multiple time frames, both before and after that. And I'm safe to start scaling in my entry. I use the same technique for day trading as I do for swing trading. I don't pay attention to candle patterns. I don't pay attention actually to anything the upper 2/3 of the chart is doing, really.
That's cool. I don't think we've ever had anyone on with that strategy, but that's something I'm going to start looking at a bit more. Those MACD lines and the change of attitude, like you just said, that's really cool.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm not here to plug my course, but I go through, because to me, I've simplified it down to me where anybody can do this, because I try and keep trading visual, right? If you think about all the things where a trade has ever gone wrong for you guys, what are the things that are the most common? It's where you get in the way of your own progress. You make a mistake, you forget your own rules, or you break your own rules, or you start getting invested into the stock as opposed to just reading the chart and playing what's in front of you. And what I try and do is I make trading visual in order to get you out of the equation. That's what I really after. So it becomes almost like an if-then equation that you're going through. So if this shows up, then this is what you do. If this shows up, then this is what you do. And just make it almost as mechanical as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Another question I had was, how did you build this confidence to trust yourself? Because I've noticed when you've been saying, you're willing to put a large allocation of your portfolio into a trade because you're confident in it. How did this confidence build?
Well, it started when I started doing day trading. I talked about this in one of my blog entries, actually. So when I moved from being a value investor to a swing trader, and then when I retired from the corporate gig, I'm like, okay, now I can actually bring in day trading full time because I'm not stuck in meetings for 4 freaking hours. And when I started sort of investigating day trading, if you just go into Google, go how to day trade, you're going to come up with all sorts of bullshit about how to day trade. And one of the first is all the scary stats, right? Where it says, only 1% of day traders are profitable or whatever else. So the first thought in my head is, okay, well, either everyone who day trades is utterly incompetent or this stat is bullshit. It's one of the two or somewhere in between. Because in my head, I'm thinking stocks go up all the time. So you're telling me they go up and down and nobody's able to catch that movement. Really? That's what you're telling me. Okay. So already I got a question mark in my head. And then as I dug in deeper, on all the major investing sites and this type of thing, they're like, never allocate more than X percent of your account over to, one stock, and you want to be able to spread that apart. And I just took apart what it is they were saying. I said, well, all right, if I've got, a $10,000 account, let's say, and I divide it up into $1,000 increments and put it into 10 trades. Well, number one, my ability to pick 10 winners as a day trade that day probably slim to zero at any given time. So two, if I have, 5 winners, 3 losses, and 2 that just sort of break even, well, now I got to have my winners overcome my losses and overcome all the other stuff. And I probably haven't made my target. So now I'm doubling up my risk because now I got to go back into the market, expose my capital again. And ultimately, I'm taking on more risk and I'm getting less return. So no wonder if people are actually doing that. So what I basically is, I came to the conclusion that what everybody told me, what all the experts were saying was bullshit. That's what I came to the conclusion of. So I said, all right, if I can figure out a way to be at the bottom when it happens, and I can figure out a way to exit at the top, then I should be able to then play 1 or 2 things at a time because the materiality of my returns will be enough that I don't have to expose my capital again that same day. I just took it apart the same way I took apart problems in my corporate career for 20 years. And that's exactly what I did. That's how I came up with the trading method. That's why I concentrate on how to find bottoms and how to find those tops and be able to develop a technique to it. So it really wasn't so much a confidence thing. It was more like just a mathematical set of probabilities that said my chances of success are higher if I take everything and stick it in this one thing and follow my trading technique as opposed to whatever the expert said was the right way.
Yeah.
Having that major confidence in that one play, just waiting for that opportunity, striking with a large allocation, and then just being able to not have to expose yourself to the market again.
Yeah.
And that's something you won't get if you're trying to focus on 10 things a day. And that's, I know you touched on that too, but that's a lot of people's biggest problem. You can't do that if you're spread too thin across a couple different things, or, you're trying to watch 15 stocks, you're going to miss the move on all of them. So again, to speak on your point of just focusing on 1-2 things, I think that's, really going to benefit new or beginners.
Focus on that one strategy too.
Like if you break it all down, what are we doing this for? To get paid.
You make money.
That's it. Like, let's not put any grand sort of schemes to it. We're going to change the universe or whatever. We're there to get paid. So why make that any harder than we need to?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Why make it 800 trades in a month when you can do like 10 or 20, Find
Yeah,
one trade every day, find a couple every day if that's what it is, and bank
Yep.
on them and get your ass out of there.
that's it. Go live your life. Go shark fishing. Whatever.
Yeah. Go get a
Go shark
hammerhead.
fishing, drink some new tequila. Hell,
Yeah.
I'll say though, that thing really that kind of struck with me too is the market wants you to fail, and they're going to do everything they can to make you fail. So if you can expose yourself only a small amount of times, like you're saying, per day, per week, that would help a lot of beginner traders. Just finding a way to keep their money, under wraps in their account rather than, taking 10 trades a day where they might make a mistake emotionally or average down too far, average up a little bit, and then it goes back on them, all that kind of stuff. Taking one high confidence trade would really, really help some of these beginner traders, I think.
Yeah, or even just and one of the things that I've had guys do now in my coaching program is just take one of the matched pairs of ETFs. So they always have a trade.
Yeah.
And just trading those back and forth, and basically just forgetting the rest of the market exists. Just concentrate on those two instruments. And they're I get guys messaging me like, hey, it's whatever, it's 10 a.m. I've made 2K. I'm off to go climb the mountains in 110 or whatever they want to do. That's what I try and encourage people to do is like, life happens outside of the screen. There's a reason why so many traders burn out because, they're up in the pre-market. They're glued to their screen all through the market day. Then at night, they're doing due diligence. Then on the weekend, they're packing in more due diligence, and they just burn themselves right out. What I would rather do is make the money, concentrate on less things, and have most of the noise of the market just sort of go away, and go live your life, because it happens outside of the screen, not in front of it. That I've changed my strategy this year, where I did a lot of day trading last year. I took my day trade account. So in January of 2021, it was about 100 grand in my day trading account. I took that to $500,000 by the end of the year, because I follow very similar. I've seen you mention as well, Tay, is I follow 1% a day type of strategy.
Oh, I love that, man. That's the key for a lot of people.
It's a great compounder rule. I've done that for a while. But I've now started moving towards this paid by the hour approach because, now I'm married. I want to get a boat this year. I want to go spend time on the boat. I don't want to sit in front of a freaking screen.
Yep.
I want to go live my life. What I've done is, with that switch in strategy, I can still make as much or more through it. I keep my day trades and my swing trades separate, but I've started to do I've changed the ratio, right, of swing trades versus day trades. I'll now day trade opportunistically, but I'll place most of my attention on those 4 and 1 hour positions and just go, walk my dog or play with my Hellcat or ride around in my Jeep or whatever, but go do something else.
Live your life. That's what I tell some people that I mentor too. Like I have it on my rules, which are right there from 9 to 11, which is central time for me, which is, 10 to 12 for you guys. But 10 to 12, then I get out of here and then I go do whatever the hell I want to do. I go walk around in Iowa. There's not as much as there is in Florida. Yeah, but I go do some shit, and I tell people, I'm like, I'm probably not going to be around for 3 or 4 hours because I'm going to go sit and read my book in the sun. I'm going to go do whatever I want to do, and I'll be back later, but I'm going to go live my life because that's the beauty of this job, is being able to live your life and do what you want to do when a lot of other people don't have that freedom.
Daniel, are you a football fan?
Me?
Yeah. Are you a football fan?
No, I don't actually follow any sports. I lift heavy things and I put them down again. That's about it.
I was gonna say
I
was gonna see if he was a Dolphins fan, but
No, he's in Tampa Bay. He's got to be a Tom Brady Bucks fan.
oh, that's
His face
right.
is probably all over Tampa Bay.
That's right.
I like lifting heavy things every once in a while, and then I get really tired and I don't do it for a couple days. But
couple months.
Yeah, I do it once and then like finish for the week and be lazy, and then I go back the next week on Monday and then I tire myself out and be done again. But is what it is. Try my best. All right, so we just got what do we got
I think 2
left? We got the
questions.
fun topics. Yeah, we just got the fun shit left, and then we'll be good. All right, Daniel. So I've been doing this new thing. I do like kind of this like lightning round where I ask you a couple questions just to get um, some solid info about you as a person for the listeners. So we're gonna start off with what's your favorite food? You gotta have a favorite food.
Uh, Steak, rare.
Ooh.
Oh, that's a good choice. What cut?
My favorite is ribeye.
Oh, that's my favorite. I love, dude, ribeye. That's a perfect choice. That's a perfect answer right there. Um, Favorite place?
Rome, definitely.
Ooh, what'd you do in Rome? Like, what's your favorite stuff to do in Rome? Because I've never been there.
Um, I've been there probably a dozen times or so. I used to go there for work. They would send me over quite a bit. But I've always been a history buff, and just being, I will never get tired of seeing all of the wonderful history in Rome. No matter how many times I have walked through the Vatican Museum, or any of that, it's you could set me there every single day, and I would be quite happy with that.
That's cool. That's really cool. All right. I think I know the answer to this one, but what's your favorite trading ticker?
Nordstrom.
Nordstrom.
That's I would have put my life savings on you saying that. All right. Favorite band?
Um, that's a tougher one. Probably Dream Theater.
Okay. All right. That's one I haven't heard before. I haven't heard that name in a while. All right. Favorite car?
Oh, definitely. Can I mention my dream car or the car I own?
Dream car. Anything on the world. Anything in the
All
world.
right. So my dream car, 1971 Hemi Cuda.
What is that? I,
Oh, you
I
got to
don't know what
Google it.
that is. Maybe I
Oh
gotta
my
Google it.
God. Oh my God. So the
1971.
my Hellcat Challenger is like the modern day equivalent of a 1971 Hemi Cuda. In its day, it would
Oh,
tear
that's
the
a good looking
living
car.
balls off of anything that surrounded it in its day, just like a Hellcat does now.
What color would you want? All black?
Oh, so if you're on Google anyway, Google up Phantasm Cuda. So the Cuda that is in the movie Phantasm from the mid 70s, I fell in love in that car when I was 9 years old.
Woo!
The black
That's
on black. It was actually a 446 pack on that one, but they rebadged it as a Hemi for the movie. I just love the car.
cool.
Yeah, it is a
That
nice
is
car.
cool. Wow. That is gorgeous actually. Have you gotten in some races in your Hellcat?
No, I had to sell a large part of my car collection. I moved from Toronto to Tampa because I couldn't just take them with me. I had some cars that weren't allowed in the U.S. and just anyway, I had to get rid of them. But I had a Porsche. I had two classic Defenders. I had a military Humvee. I had a Mercedes. I had my motorcycle, and I had my Hellcat. The only one I kept,
It's a
which
Hellcat.
was not going anywhere, was my Hellcat.
I'd fight to the death for a Hellcat too. I remember when they were about to release the Hellcats, and I was like, I was a little younger at that point. I just couldn't get over how fast it was and the specs that they had on there. Like when I would read the article, I was just like blown out of my mind. I was like, if I can drive one of these one day, that'd be the coolest thing ever. And now you fucking have one. All right, Daniel, last question for you. What's your favorite story to tell? It can be trading related, it can be life related, it can be
Um,
anything.
I think it was when so there was there's actually two stories. One sort of preceded the other. So I used to travel a lot for work, and I was sent over to Asia in 2019 to take apart this company and find out whether or not we should buy it. So I was in my hotel room in Kuala Lumpur, and I opened up my suitcase, and I found a hair in it from Abby, my dog. I never felt so homesick in my life, and I knew by then I was just done. I mean, I've seen most of the world, and that's fantastic. But When you're doing it when you're in your 20s and your company sends you over to Rome to go, hey, go rent a car, drive across Italy and go take apart this facility, on the Adriatic side, that's really fun. When you've done it for 2 decades and you're pushing, anywhere from 40, 60 flights a year, it's not so fun anymore. It's just one hotel room after another. And then the next sort of thing that sort of cemented it, I was in back-to-back meetings in March of 2020, and I lost 400 grand in about 2 or 3 hours. It was just crazy because I couldn't get to my accounts. I couldn't get to anything. I was just in these meetings. And when I was done, I couldn't remember one single thing that I needed to be in those meetings for. It was just bullshit.
Yeah.
And I realized that I needed to pick a lane. I needed to be able to decide whether or not I was going to be some corporate monkey and trade at the same time, or I was going to take all bets on me and just trade full-time once and for all. So I decided 2 things. I said, okay, once I make the money back, I'll make a decision. And so within 4 weeks, I had made the money back, and I promptly turned in my resignation and effectively retired. That's what I did.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But it was those 2 things. It was my dog and that moment.
What kind of dog do you have?
She is a papillon. So she's a tiny little dog. She actually, it's funny, my ex-wife picked her out, and this dog hated my ex-wife, just completely did not like her at all. But she bonded with me immediately, so she became my dog. So I have this froofy little dog, but
Awesome.
she's adorable. So.
She like a lap dog? Does she like to come and sit on your lap?
Oh yeah, she's definitely a snuggler.
That's funny.
Those are the best. I got cats, but some of them act like a lap dog. Like they'll like jump up on my lap and sit.
Yeah.
Nothing makes you feel more special than like an animal that's
Oh,
been
pets will
mean for a
always
few
love you.
days. Yeah, I know. Like they'll be like, hey, like I don't want to be touched for a while, and then it comes and jumps up on your lap, and you're like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm on top of the world. I could make however much money, but if my cat jumps up on my lap, then it's like different feeling.
Yeah,
Completely different. All right, Daniel. Well, we want to thank you for hopping on and doing this interview with us. It was really awesome.
Thank you guys. I appreciate the opportunity to come on. If you shoot me your email address, I will forward you a copy of Paid by the Hour.
Oh yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it was great meeting you.
Yeah. I'll DM you and stuff, and I'll get that, and I'm probably gonna put it to good use.
We'll link everything, all your links in the description as well. So
yeah, we'll drop that link tree. Go read the How to Fish, Learn to Fish series, all that kind of stuff. Check out the Paid by the Hour.
Twitter
Check
will
out
be in the
Daniel's
description.
Twitter, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, thank you, man.
Thank you, everyone, and like I said, really appreciate you having me on.
Yeah.